Yo, I need a Sean Mooney action figure.
Ladies and gents, after a very long fortnight, a long 14 days, back in the place to be as if we never left. We are the mega powers of podcasting, coming to you live from the On the Money Sports Lounge with some old school wrestling going on the big screen in front of us. A little bit of a watch along podcast night, double whammy edition as we prepare.
Rockers and Big Boss Man versus the Nasty Boys. And I'm the Mountie.
The Canadian Big Boss Man. That's how I looked at him as a kid growing up. Nonetheless, this is like a little sample of what's to come as we start to venture into doing some of the reviews of some of these old school shows that we grew up on. As you know, this guy right here made the new nostalgia page that we're going to have everybody jump into. One where you had yourself
created the original nostalgia multiverse page, but we weren't getting what we wanted where anybody could post. So I came to the conclusion where I said, you know what, let's just turn it into a forum like the other thing. And anybody can post.
That's smart. That was the tweak that we needed to do for it. You know, I'm not always the most tech savvy person. However,
I was thinking long and hard, and I'm like, damn, what can we do?
I was trying to put something together.
The Nasty Boys were tag champs at the time.
That's probably a short reign. It was a house show. They're about to lose it.
Nah, they had the belts from WrestleMania to SummerSlam thing.
But you know that for years I was trying to create pages for like nostalgia, something to offset what we do when it comes to the sports. Because sometimes during, this period of the year where there's no football, on past years it was a little bit harder for us.
Baseball's just starting to get relevant. It's spring training.
We started dabbling into the nostalgia. It's the NBA. Like I said, it's fun, when you're winning money off of it. Any other time, it's fun when you're a part of Supreme Baller Society and you made the playoffs. With us having 3 weeks left in the playoffs for that league. Oscar O Money currently sitting in the 8th spot. 7 seeds have clinched already in that league. Shout out to the Supreme Baller Society and everybody who's a part of that league. Dope time of year as far as that. This is the 4th or 5th year of us doing this. Like, we're the pioneers when it comes to, not everybody does the fantasy basketball. Not everybody does the fantasy baseball like we do. Like, all year round, we have something going on in these leagues. We have the expansion of the Sandlot Baseball Association draft on March 23rd. It's going down 6 p.m. Season 2, Sandlot Baseball Association, 12-team league, 8-man playoff. Super excited about that. So excited about the expansion and the fact that once that kicks off, we have that to look forward to the entirety of the summer leading back into September when we get football back. So, On the Money Sports is all year long working, making things happen, putting shit together, building these leagues, building the leagues with the people in the On the Money Sports Forum and having, most of the OGs from the forum in those leagues so that we can just grow it from that perspective. Drew Ski, America's sweetheart, heavyweight champion. Shane O'Mac, here comes my theme song. Yes, sir. Back in the place to be after 2 weeks.
You see, this must be around the time where Shawn Michaels is like, I'm sick of this and I want to be on my own.
What, HBK?
Yeah.
With the, he's still in the tag team division, but you can tell, he's the better half.
Oh,
hope there's not a lot of insider trading. This guy's just saying that because now Heather is a part of the Sandlot Baseball Association.
Where's this said? Where was this said?
It was on the post I made about the league. There will not be any insider trading. Heather is doing her due diligence and doing her research. She was looking over none other than one of the magazines I have right here, the Fantasy Baseball Index with Ellie De La Cruz on the cover, potential first-round pick. I have another one at home with Shohei Ohtani on it. She's creating her own ranking system. She's going into this as a rookie, as is Serge, going into it their first year of doing fantasy baseball. A lot of the guys last year were rookies, and we all knew this shit was a learning curve. Like, it takes a while for everything to come together, but when it does come together and you're getting those stats piling up and your guys are hitting home runs, you guys are healthy, like, it's a nice feeling. But it could also fall apart. You can start out hot, and then the bottom falls out, and all of a sudden you just nosedive yourself out of the playoff picture like the Bryce's slumping Bombers did last season when you What happened to Bryce Harper? Just
all my players got hurt.
Yeah,
all my
like
pitchers got hurt.
Yeah, you had to deal with the injury bug across the board. It's tough, man. It's tough. You had like unlike fantasy football,
and I held on to like the first place in my division for a while.
Oh yeah, you were leading the division for a good portion of the year.
And then in August, it just
at the worst possible time. And then Andrew was holding on to the 6th seed for a good portion of time, and then slowly but surely, the whole Ranger Suarez thing happened, and then he was dealing with his own situation with injuries, and he started the year with a situation when he drafted Strider, and Strider was out for the year. So the fighting little Jimmies were dealing with adversity from day one,
from the rip.
Guys like Anthony Volpe were coming through for him and just like making stuff happen. Oops, why is it? Oh, baseball all summer till football season starts. Greatest time of my life. Yeah. That was the original premise for the league itself, just a pastime for us to be able to get through the summer, have a little fun, do something competitive together, and now it's starting to grow. It's starting to grow legs. We're basically having our first draft party this year. You know what I mean? I got something else that's in the works that I'll probably give more details in the group chat tomorrow. I don't want to say anything too soon because I just want to have everything confirmed. But something that I have that's going to be a nice little added bonus for this year in season 2, some special incentive for the winner.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake is showing up.
Nah, man, that's year 3. We got to have like, I don't know, who the fuck.
Let's find a retired ball player.
Daryl Strawberry show up. Like, you want to come to our baseball draft, bro? You want to sponsor our baseball draft? Go ahead. Every year we're doing it bigger and better. I don't remember where I was last year drafting this baseball team. This year, I know that I'll be with a couple buddies, having some brewskis with my league mates, you know what I mean? And drafting together over some laughs, over some appetizers, and some brewskis. Next season, who knows? Switch the location up, go somewhere else. Definitely not doing a live draft because that shit will take forever. The online is more than enough. It's going to be a minute timer, so you got a minute to pick your player. All the names are going to be right there for you. You don't have to worry. You don't have to stress yourself out. It's going to be a nice and easy way to follow along and talk some shit, man, and see what happens this year because it's spring training. I was watching a little bit of it the last couple of days, looking at certain players. Looking at Jason Dominguez hitting a bomb today. I saw Schwarber today taking that batting second in the lineup you guys had today against Toronto.
Benihana season 3.
Benihana season 3. Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Like we could change up the location spot next year.
I mean, Mikey's trying to show up. Mikey's trying to get y'all to go to MetLife to do sick picks draft.
That'd be crazy.
What is it, like $100 if everybody everybody puts $100 in, it'll pay for the room, you get food, the draft boards, all that other crap.
That'd be a cool experience. And that'll be something cool to do for one of our, sick picks is it's one of the big dog leagues.
I parked my horse and it's over.
Yeah, you're stepping back out. Chris is stepping back in for this next season of sick picks. It was a nice little run that you had going on the last ride. And now you're back out.
You're doing it now. Yeah,
it's the off season. I haven't thought about how many leagues I'm going to do next year, how many I'm going to keep, what I'm going to jump out of. The 8 that I'm a part of right now, I don't see myself leaving. So it'll be a question of, do I add 2 more? Do I keep it at the 8 that I'm in? Do I get myself back into League of Boom? I'm still, contemplating the future as far as fantasy football.
I'm down to 4 and I'm staying at 4.
Yeah.
Hell, if I could get to 3, I'd do 3. Because I'm going to be focused.
Right now I'm focused on Dynasty. Now that I got the baseball league wrapped up, I'm looking at Dynasty. We're looking towards the NFL draft. As a Titans fan, looking towards what's going to happen as soon as the draft starts or maybe before the draft, and what are some of the phone calls that are going on as far as potentially moving on from this 101. And what can we actually get back? There's the rumor and the innuendo. And then there's, as we get closer to the draft itself, some of the stories and headlines that start to gain a little bit more steam because we know for a fact some of the top guys, the Shefties of the world, are putting this information out there, knowing that this is solid information that is going down right now that could potentially happen any given moment. We could be getting a potential trade alert. There's some things that, like the Cleveland Browns coming out and saying they have no interest whatsoever in moving on from Myles Garrett. They're saying that now.
The price hasn't been made.
Yeah, nobody's offered anything that is making us change our mind. Potentially.
A lot of stuff's come out in the last couple of days. It was confirmed today through Ian Rappaport that John Lynch finally acknowledged the elephant in the room and said he's given permission for Debo and his team of representatives to look for that.
Yes,
that trade partner.
Yes, it is. That is potentially happening. The Baltimore Ravens are waiting out this whole thing going on with Justin Tucker right now before they decide what they're going to do. There's potential for him to be suspended, B, cut when you think about the year he just had last season.
Mark Andrews too, with his cap number.
So there's and I'm starting to see those on our Sleeper app, because Sleeper never sleeps. So the Sleeper Dynasty app is starting to give me some of the reports.
That's why I put Mark Andrews on the trade block, and he was part of that deal that I made, because I still have the new tight end number 1 sitting there waiting. And Isaiah Likely.
Great. I love Likely. I'm going to try to send you more offers for him because that's my guy. I'm a Likely guy.
He's about to be tight end 1.
He's going to get his opportunity. He's one of those guys that in fantasy football, it's like you've been drafting him for the last couple of years, waiting for this moment. And this is why, if you're in a dynasty league, this is why you go and get him. This is why you stash him. And this is why you probably bring him out of the taxi squad.
Recruit Myles Garrett. The Eagles and the Lions are on my list that if he gets traded, I think those are one of the 2 spots he's going to.
Lions is a good one. I like that one.
A lot came out. Matt Stafford, the Giants are making him a priority.
Yes.
And then the Raiders, supposedly Brady had Stafford at his place trying to recruit him, which would kind of be illegal since he hasn't been given permission like that. He was granted permission to seek a trade partner.
This is why you got to get him out of the booth, because technically he wouldn't be able to do these types of things. He can't even speak ill of a football team.
Brady's agent came out and said that it's the most inaccurate report he's ever seen.
Of Stafford?
Yeah, and the whole thing. That supposedly that he goes, there's no such thing. Oh, damn. Shawn Michaels is about to get teased. So, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Michaels just got tased by the shot stick.
For those of you who don't know the Mountie, he had a shot stick.
Wait a minute. But Jannetty gets back on top and they still win the match. Woo, this was a WCW finish.
4-on-4.
Let me see. At what point am I here?
Jimmy.
It's at the 49-minute mark. If anybody's watching this now and you just want to throw something in the background too while you're watching us, WWE Vault, Rampage 91. Go to the 49.5-minute mark and you'll be caught up with us.
So as far as Myles Garrett goes, we don't know, man. That's going to be a big star. As far as Matt Stafford, as far as Myles Garrett, I meant to ask you, what do you think is the big fish in the quarterback market? Is it Sam Darnold? Is it Matt Stafford? Which one potentially gets moved first, and does that trigger,
or is this a whole Brandon Ayuk situation? You're going to test it out. You're going to get as much feel as you can get, and you're just going to go back and stay back with the person you were with.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, it makes the most sense for the Vikings to re-sign Darnold and for the Rams to just re-sign Stafford, right? Like, why let that go for the uncertainty unless the Minnesota Vikings are completely sold on J.J. McCarthy?
Well, he's still rumored to be out of action with that knee. So that's another thing that they got to monitor.
All the more reason why, the quarterback whisperer, as they call the Vikings head coach, right? Like, all the more reason for them to lock in the franchise quarterback.
Don't make me start Giants talk.
And he doesn't like most Philly fans, he's not really looking to acknowledge the Philadelphia 76ers at this moment. Tough break to, for Philly as
I'm definitely not. We're gonna fast forward this match.
Lo and behold, once again, Embiid was ruled out for the matchup tonight against the New York Knicks, one of the opening 7:10 p.m. matchups going down in the NBA on a 9-game slate. I brought my book of plays with me. I'm following along on what's happening with all the NBA action tonight as we give you all the action across the sports multiverse as is. A lot happening right now, even with football being gone. And a lot that from this point forward, a lot of news in between podcast week is going to break during that week. And
I'm numb to that shit by now.
It's going to be a lot of just information and a domino effect of quarterbacks getting signed and, movement of players, trades potentially, pre-draft trades maybe, or maybe they saved the suspense for draft night. We don't totally know. We had the comments from Abdul Carter, who came out and said he feels like he's the best player in this draft. He should be the number 1 pick.
I got another one. Somebody said, what about Cooper Rush to New York?
Cooper Rush to New York?
As a bridge quarterback for the Giants.
And then they draft a lineman,
draft your guy next year. The person I talked to wants Abdul Carter.
If they sign a veteran QB, they're going to draft a lineman.
Yeah. The guy I talked to said, you sign a guy like Cooper Rush, he's your bridge because you're not going to be good enough. You're probably going to be picking in the top 10 next year. He goes, but you can draft Abdul Carter at that spot and continue to build your defensive line. He goes, could you imagine a defensive line with Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns? Basically, he goes, that's what the Eagles are doing, so why not?
I like him a lot, man. He feels like that type of player. They talk about generational. He gives me that aura to him. Like he's a safer bet than going for one of these quarterbacks in this year's draft. Like he's a game changer for a defense. If he goes to a defense that's already good, he's just going to elevate them to be over the top. Like I feel as though if we were to stay at the 101 and pick him at 101, I would be happy with that. Taking Abdul Carter from Penn State at the 101, go get a veteran quarterback, and then, from there, build the trenches because we re-signed Latham, which is good. Latham isn't going anywhere, but we desperately need to get, offensive tackle, defensive line. Where the Giants are right now, they get the best available offensive lineman in the draft at 3 if they decide sign a veteran
Abdul
and that's
Carter,
the move.
That's what the guy told me.
Go defense. Titans might take him after them saying Landry can see. And that was another thing, too. Thank you for reminding me. We're allowing Harold Landry to go out and like Cup, like Debo, go out and seek a trade. He still has like 17 to 19 million left on his contract with us. A great year last year. He got some of that explosiveness from 2 years ago before he got hurt. You saw some of that last year in Harold Landry and his ability to just bum rush the quarterback and accumulate sacks and just create havoc for, the opposing team and an opportunity for us to potentially get the ball back. So there is still some value in a healthy Harold Landry. We have that up in the air, us with the 101, potentially trading that. So a lot of potential negotiations going on in different areas for this football team.
It's all smoke and mirrors. The Titans are taking Cam Ward.
You think it's still Cam? Which saves us from the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, right? Like there's a lot of shit. Like there's a lot of shit to unpack with.
Apparently, Aaron Rodgers' market isn't as big as he thought it was going to be.
Good. I'd rather have Sam Darnold. Titans GM avoiding Howie's calls. Well, this new GM, this is the guy that, remember, we just fired our GM. This is our 4th GM in 9 years, guys. This is our 4th GM in 9 years. We're getting the guy from Kansas City. I still don't know how I feel about him. He looks like one of those guys where it's like, oh, I came from here, so listen on. You know what I mean? It's just like no different than when a bunch of guys
like the new Jaguars GM.
No, he looks smarter than him. He looks smarter than that guy.
That guy looks like a friggin' 18-year-old kid.
He looks smarter than that guy. However, it's one of those things where he looks a little snarky too, like almost like the ex-Patriots vibe, where you come in here from that organization. It's like, well,
a lot of them came from the Patriots organization when they went to the Chiefs.
Here we did this, like this is how we did things in Kansas City, and it's one of those things where you have this draft in your hands, and then another part of it is it's not totally your fault. You just got here a month ago. You're GMing it now, so it's like we're giving you the keys. And
he probably wants
you and Mr.
Ward.
Brinker. Is that really what you want to do? And oh man, so yeah, no.
Poor Mr. C.
Well, this new GM may field phone calls, may not. Last time we spoke, last week when we did the simulcast, we talked about how the Jets were pursuing us potentially and willing to offer up a couple first rounders, a couple second rounders, a pretty nice bag for the 101. We explored the possibility. We asked the why behind it, because like if you're a Jets fan, it's like, why would you do that? We don't even have the picks now to go and get this quarterback what he needs.
That team has so many issues, it's crazy.
Why would you involve yourself in a potential disaster?
That's a team that needs to address the offensive line.
Oh yeah, badly. Yeah, but there's only so many trenches to go around, and a lot of us
that
need
could
it.
be Aaron Rodgers' excuse to another team. Hey, did you see how bad that line was? And I was still able to put up decent numbers.
The Jets were willing to give up this year's first, which is the 107, next year's first, this year's second, and next year's second for the 101, so that they can go up, take Cam Ward, and then not even have their pick next year to be able to give him like anything worth, not even have a second round pick next year to give him anything, and then run it back. There's potential. Garrett Wilson is talking about, like, I've been listening. I've been listening to a lot of different shit last couple of days. Garrett Wilson wants $30 million. There's talks of a potential trade market for Garrett Wilson as far as the Jets. We still don't know where Devontae Adams is going. Remember all the ex-cheeseheads who are still there in a state of limbo now that Aaron Rodgers isn't coming back. You've got the draft. You've got a high pick in the first round. Like, this draft isn't going to fix the amount of baggage that is just weighing down a New York Jets football team right now. That's
why I would say the Jets are in worse shape than the Giants.
Giants
we can make fun of the Giants, but if the Giants actually, they got the draft capital to make their team better.
They got a Malik Neighbors.
Yep. You know, or what happens if they trade down, they get more picks, and say they trade down to number 7 to the Raiders.
Or would you consider them the most likely team to trade down?
What do they pick? Ashton Genty.
The Giants pick Ashton Genty.
You sign Cooper Rush.
I mean, do you like that?
If Cooper Rush, you draft Ashton Genty, then you still got Malik Neighbors.
If you're a Genty super fan, and if you're a Tracy owner, are you excited about that though? Like, because you're like, damn, these guys are going to eat into each other's. Like, if Genty goes somewhere where there's already a running back, I'm saying to myself, like, it's not just his backfield. If he goes to Dallas, what's his competition? Not much. It's easy to take over there. Like, I wouldn't. It's interesting.
So Genty would be off your board on the Dynasty round 1 if he went to the Giants?
No, I'm taking him no matter what. But that's why I'm more worried about where he actually goes, because of the fact where it's like I'm all in at the 101 on Genty. There's nobody else that I would want besides him. We got way too many problems, all thanks to the NFLPA owner, rated F ownership. If they trade down, I like Campbell. I think his name from LSU, offensive tackle. So potentially, best available still as far as the offensive line goes, and the pure trenches and building from the inside out, getting yourself somebody who could complement a veteran signing at the quarterback position, the offensive tackle from LSU. I mean, I feel like we can't draft an offensive tackle at 101. So we have to go with one of those like big names. It has to be an Abdul Carter. It has to be a Cam Ward. Like, it has to be one of those players, a Travis Hunter maybe. I don't know. Like, rumor mill is a buzzing in a way that it hasn't been for the entire time as we get towards, draft season. A lot of different stuff is coming out of the combine because now they're asking these people these questions. This is the first time that they're face to face with some of the people that they can get direct answers for. So we're starting to hear more movement on the potential for, Debo getting moved. Now Harold Landry is going to be an interesting situation to monitor. If you're Detroit, why not kick the tires on a conversation about Landry and add him to what they've got going on, in those trenches, in that front seven, and it'd be a nice little complementary piece at the linebacker position for a team that already has a pretty strong front seven when healthy, but dude still got some, he's still got some gas, I feel like a trade with him right now, price-wise, value-wise, is more reasonable and likely than a Myles Garrett trade. Because it's like, are you guys going to do it? Are you guys going to try to fleece somebody? Are you going to wait too long and then water down his value when you try to do it? Like, you turn in negotiations, you could turn people off with that. You know how it is. Look at our negotiations and how things go sometimes. The way we negotiate in Dynasty, like, you could turn people off depending on how you go about what you're doing. And the Browns, I mean, it's the Browns. Like, they changed the rules for trades because they got fleeced so bad in the worst contract in history, the Deshaun Watson contract. Like, they changed the entire parameters of rules for trades because of how bad they got fleeced. So, trade back for the lineman isn't a bad idea. You talking about the offensive tackle? Oh, Genty. Yeah, Genty's all day. Genty, I'm taking all day no matter where he goes. I'm just saying, like, this year, we just saw the running back renaissance, right? A lot of the running backs came up big for teams in real life. They came up big for us in fantasy. And now, lo and behold, after the running back renaissance, we get the running back rookie class, one of the best rookie classes in years with the new infusion of rookie running backs that are coming into the league. And, what does that mean for the job security of the running backs already in the league? If you have the Bijan Robinsons and the Jahmyr Gibbs and maybe the Breece Halls of the world, if Breece Hall can get back to where he was, then you're not worried. Those are the RB1s on that team no matter what. Everybody else, I mean, you don't know, bro. You just don't know. Oh, you know what I mean? You trust Kyren Williams? Great. But that team, that organization, when they're ready to move on, they'll move on. And it happens fast. There's going to be another guy back there getting the same amount of work as Kyren Williams because that's just what the Rams do. Remember Todd Gurley? They move on.
Todd Gurley.
So where's Omarion Hampton going to end up going? Tre'Davian Henderson, where's he going to end up? Those dominoes after Genty falls, like how did
Quinshon
Judkins, another absolute dog. Like there's like those guys, those names you mentioned right there could all be taken before a wide receiver gets taken. And I guess more in fantasy football, but I'm saying like as far as like their impact could be, because the number one wide receiver is Ted McMillan, right? That's the number one kid. Then it's everybody Luther, then it's everybody else.
Golden.
It's the running backs is where it's at. So we just came off the running back renaissance period. We're going into a heavy running back rookie class, which is exciting, but also, especially for dynasty football concerns, it makes you look at your running back room and say to yourself, is your job security okay? Is your job security okay? Because we've seen it before, bro. The night of, we thought Tyler Algier was the next big thing. Atlanta Falcons go up at the 8th spot and take Bijan Robinson for no reason. And, Algier still did a great job. However, you're sharing, and that means you're also sharing points. And sometimes when you're sharing points, you're not getting enough fantasy points for your player.
Agreed. I won't complain about that. That's a good argument.
These running back destinations could potentially wreak havoc for a lot of things that trickle down the line over the summer and dynasty and training camp battles and jockeying for position. And unfortunately, it's sad to say, injuries. They happen every year. They're going to happen again this year. They're going to be game changers. And they're just going to reshape how we look at the board completely.
I agree. I tell you what, quarterback ain't going to be taken in the first round in the fantasy dynasty.
You don't see it? You don't see somebody taking a quarterback? I need somebody to do something stupid.
It's not gonna.
I would love for somebody to do that in the Dynasty League. I don't really know everyone's situation. I mean, when you look at Netta's team, she won the championship with freaking Mac Jones. So if Cam Ward,
she has no quarterback.
If Cam Ward or Shador Sanders are there at the 112 where she's drafting at, why wouldn't you take one of those guys? You need one, and they ain't none on free agency. It's already the pickings is slim.
Yeah, because there's a certain person we know that's going to try to get a plethora amount of draft picks or something for guys that he can't even keep. You're going to end up cutting them.
Who, me?
Not you, Mikey.
Oh.
Mikey got 4 quarterbacks that are all starter capable. 4th round pick, take it or leave it.
I looked at this. He made the trade with Matt. He ended up getting his first at the end of the day, which is what he wanted. So kudos to him for that. He made the deal, sent away somebody who I was interested in, Dak Prescott. I was interested in Dakota. Dak's coming back this year. He's healthy. If they get Genty, that's another dimension to an offense that is going to be able to get the ball down the field 2 different ways. So
are going to be selectively aggressive in free agency.
And also, Dak's cheap, bro. When it comes to that market and it comes to what you have to pay in dynasty football and trades, he's a cheaper option than trying to go out there and get a Josh Allen. That's just too much, bro. You're giving up the farm.
I don't care what you're talking. Alexi's never given up Josh Allen.
That's a give up the farm type of trade. You know what I mean? That you make and you say to yourself, am I going to be sustainable enough after this trade to keep up? Or did I, go too much on this particular player?
Alex has never given him up. You would have to knock his socks off, boy.
It would have to be a crazy deal. It's going to be one of those deals that's going to pop the league and everybody's going to have an opinion on it because he's Josh Allen. At the moment, he's QB1. He ain't the QB that won the Super Bowl, but when it comes to this fantasy football shit, Josh Allen
can win you that Super Bowl.
Yeah, Josh Allen single-handedly can take you to the playoffs and put you in a position to compete for a championship. That cat, him and Jaden Daniels, boy. That was the dynamic duo for me this year. I screwed up in True Legends. It sucks because the week before I got eliminated, I eliminated Magic, and I put 300 points on the board. Team completely blew their load that week, only to follow that up the following week with a loss. Because Trey McBride wanted to go out there and give me 5 measly points. Nick did.
He won that league again.
Nick won True Legends, yep. It's all a blur. I know. It's all a blur of carnage in the path of destruction. And then you're checked out. If your team's already out, you're not following up with the playoffs there. Some of it's too hard to tap back into.
I don't know how I feel about Josh. If this was his best year, it was mid, and they gave him MVP. Well, this is what happened.
Late November to December.
He should have won the MVP award last year, where he clearly had better numbers than Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson's team had the better record, and they were the number 1 seed, so that's why Lamar ended up getting it. This year, Lamar had the better numbers, and they gave it. It feels like it was a makeup. Okay, we messed up last year. We're going to give it to the right guy. It should have been Lamar winning this year and Josh Allen winning last. We
messed up. We're
last
year
year
to the same guy.
That's how I look at it.
It was a makeup. It was a makeup award.
Allen should have been 2023. Lamar should have been 2024.
And they also realized the Bills might never win a Super Bowl, so they got to have something to give them, the fan base, something to, because it was that was a sad one.
I don't know how they come back. They're lucky they're in such a weak.
How do you come back?
They're in a weak division.
How do you come back? You come back ready to win the division, yeah, but how do you
the division's weak? If they were in the AFC North or they were in the AFC, West, there's a possibility those guys could be in 3rd or 4th place.
It would be a dogfight in the North, fighting for your life, and then if you're out West, it could get dodgy there too, because now things are starting to shape up and change.
Chris says, I feel they gave it to Josh this year because we all thought he had no support on his team player wise. unlike Lamar with people like Henry.
Yeah, I guess Henry does play a factor because Henry had 1,900 rushing yards this year, so he definitely played a big part in the success of the Baltimore Ravens this season and the success of Lamar
I
Jackson.
can see that, Chris.
I guess, they look at Josh Allen and his core wide receivers because Amari Cooper got signed and then fell off the face of the earth. So Khalil Shakir
they
was
traded for him and he did nothing for them.
It's Khalil Shakir and
Khalil Shakir, who just got paid.
Keon Coleman, who
and
are
Coleman,
the 1 and 2, I guess.
Unbelievable rookie. Right, right, Mike?
Kincaid is a flop.
He was so amazing.
Kincaid's a total flop. Dawson Knox outperformed Kincaid this year, and Dawson Knox ain't nothing special to write home about. He's not
Dawson Knox at one point, we thought he was going to be a good top 10 tight end. But then, last year his brother passed away, or was it the year prior?
Yeah, I think so. You're right.
His brother passed away close to the season starting. He just wasn't himself.
But I mean,
how can you be yourself?
Like, let's not forget, we're talking about what Derrick Henry was for Lamar Jackson. Like, a lot of the numbers for Josh Allen were low, but James Cook's numbers weren't. James Cook was going off at the end of the year. Like, it was the James Cook show. It was the James Cook show in that backfield, and he helped put the Bills in a position where they could coast for basically about a month because they had everything wrapped up. They had their division wrapped up. They had their seeding wrapped up. There was nowhere for them to go, and they just had like three. Just so happened 2 to 3 more football games left to play. And not much to really play for, not much incentive. Like, Josh Allen wasn't lighting up the stat sheet in that month of December compared to how he was for us in October. October, Josh Allen was lethal. That was great. Early November, I'll take that shit all day. Him and James Cook for that little touchdown stack when he would pass it to him, that was a lovely little combo.
Getting points left and right.
That shit was a major help. And those are the only 2 really appealing fantasy assets on that team. Like, Mikey's boy is Shakir. He loves him. That's his guy. For me, it's James Cook or it's Josh Allen. And outside of that, I don't care. I don't want any other part of that because I don't want to have to sit there and convince myself to start one of those wide receivers on Sunday.
Do you think they're going to sign a free agent wide receiver? Or do you think they're going to try to be in the Debo sweepstakes?
Yeah.
Or maybe even the potential DK Metcalf?
You at least try to go for Debo. Keep everything else that you've got going on. Add the element of Debo Samuel. We've already seen you guys can win football games the way you play. So you add him into the mix over there with James Cook, with what they've got going on. It can only mean better for the young receivers that they're still grooming to be the top targets. They can still be the top targets. I think it's a move that makes sense for them compared to, like, if they went after Cooper Kupp, I feel like that would be like a go out of your way type move. Like, that's like a forced, like, that doesn't, I don't feel like that fits the same way. A Cooper Kupp on Buffalo compared to a Debo Samuel. That's just me personally.
You're right.
Do they just go draft another wide receiver? They go draft one of these young guys and add him to the mix that they've got. They've shown that they'll do that.
James Cook get traded since his demand is $15 million a year.
That would be wild to them. I like Ray Davis a lot, but you got a good thing brewing with Cook right now. And you've got a year that we just saw, like I just said, running back renaissance. We just saw it. It just happened before our eyes. Running backs were the MVPs of a lot of their teams this year, moving those chains. James Cook was definitely moving those chains, and he played a big part in the way that the Bills ended their regular season run to get, into the postseason. And then, we remember what happened there. But it was the James Cook show for a while. So $15 million a year for a guy like that, the way the league has been shaping up this year or two,
you're right.
We saw a football team pass up on paying a running back, and that running back going to the direct opposition and winning a Super Bowl, damn near an MVP. So
it wasn't me.
You want to make the same mistake as the predecessors before you, or do you want to just give your running back $15 million and continue to not have to worry about that, knowing you have Ray Davis waiting in the wings in case anything happens? You've got that second beast just waiting.
I was just about to say,
like,
snubbed MVP.
Like Ray Davis,
if he broke the record, he would have been MVP. But the crazy part is he could have probably killed that record with how many times he was taken out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, getting benched after the third quarter doesn't help.
But it's not his fault because you're fighting for the bigger prize, and it looks like they were correct.
And then you blew it, so you might as well have just played all 4
quarters.
quarters.
I'm talking about Saquon.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about him being snubbed MVP.
Oh, yeah, for the rushing. Okay, yeah. I got you. Sorry. I was still thinking about Josh Allen. But yeah, for Saquon, yeah, absolutely.
What they did was for the greater good. However,
it paid off for him.
There was like 4 or 5 games where he came out, and there was massive amount of time left in the fourth quarter. He could have easily killed that record.
Yeah, he would have smashed it this year. He was just on another level. Derrick Henry was not that far behind. JT came out and had a good season. Josh Jacobs had a good year. You know, even the likes of when you drop down a few tiers, even the likes of Aaron Jones, they weren't too shabby. He had 1,000 yards this year quietly, but he made it happen. Borders didn't think MVP was a quarterback exclusive award, given them.
And it shouldn't be an exclusive award. It really shouldn't.
We talked about it. We talked about it leading up to the MVP race when we were breaking it down last couple of weeks of the year. We talked about how it, like how what you did in On the Money Sports League, where you have the bonus for the non-QB fantasy player with the most points, and whoever has that player gets that bonus. And it's an interesting incentive because it kind of just makes it more fair across the board, knowing that if you were to say any player can get it, it's automatically by default a quarterback award because the quarterback is going to score the most points.
That's why we took the quarterback out of that running for that award. So now it's a skill player. So all you have to do is draft one of those top guys in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. Yep.
So everybody, you can have the worst record in the league, but if your guy has the most fantasy points, you win that award in our league.
Yeah, make a nice little come up. Nice little incentive.
Hey,
nice little incentive prize in the.
You don't pay a guy $40 million to hand off to another guy. It's
gonna be forever, bro. That's gonna be forever. You changed the ball game. Now we have 4 teams at once on Hard Knocks moving forward. It's going to be the AFC North, right? This year?
It was.
Well, this past year.
I watched 2 episodes, and then the Steelers started losing every game, and I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this shit no more.
You should go back. You might see some nuggets in there. Or you might see a lot of things that are just going to piss you off.
Yeah.
Most likely. You never want to rehash the bad stuff. It's like I said earlier, checking back into the fantasy league where you ended up losing in the first round, and you loved that team. And you cared about them. They were the apple of your eye. You fought hard. Me and East Coast champs, I got eliminated round 1 again, and it was. Ugh.
I went on the ops block and dropped them off.
Cold blood.
That's what happens when you make certain decisions.
Like, can the Bills really afford to walk away from a contract with James Cook? Honestly, when you think about it, like, are you really going to do that? Are you going to play hardball with James Cook?
Yeah, this is one of the smallest classes of Hall of Famers this year, which is crazy. It's the smallest class in like 20 years, I think.
That's interesting. Not much going on. Slow period. No, I'm talking about in the draft class for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so this year's Hall, it's weird.
Yeah.
There's players that are deserving that I just feel like they're never going to get in. So,
Shannon Sharp, Sterling Sharp is getting in this year, correct? Sterling Sharp is getting in this year.
Which is crazy when you think about it because he didn't have the longevity. He had the longevity, but the time that he was there, he was one of the top receivers or, in the NFL, not named Jerry Rice.
Doesn't that open the door, though, for some of the other potential what-if cases as far as Hall of Fame goes?
I think the first person to open that case is when Terrell Davis got in. Terrell Davis got in because of 1995, 1996, 1997, 1998. Because after that,
it was a nice little run by Denver there.
After that,
chips.
99, 2000, 2001, 2002, and I think in 03 he played a little. Like, he didn't do much. He was hurt all the time.
He was a top back. Because I remember it. I remember that time period in football. And Terrell Davis was a top back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're using him in NFL blitz and all that stuff. But, like, at the same time, you got the injuries and also the fact that he was attached to John Elway and a Broncos team with a top defense that was going to be good at running the football regardless of Terrell Davis. Because they didn't stop running. He missed time, and they were able to run. It's kind of like being attached to Peyton Manning.
They brought in – then what it also goes to show you with that running back system, Olandis Gary, Mike Anderson, like they had – every year somebody had 1,000 yards behind that line.
And Terrell Davis is a good example of lowering that bar for others to potentially get in.
It's the truth. Like, I hate to say it. From 95 to 98, he was amazing. But 99, 2000, 01, 02, like, you got years of him hardly playing. And so I guess if you're going to put Terrell Davis in, I guess, there was an argument to be made for Sterling Sharp.
I feel like we just entered a realm where all the names are going to be polarizing. There's going to be mixed reaction to everybody that they, in the next couple years, decide to put in. Because you're going to think about that player, and then you're going to think about 3 other players who didn't get the call, and you're saying to yourself, okay, what about this person? The Eli Manning conversation came up again this year. Should he get in? What would you be getting in for? When you look at the numbers.
I can't talk because everybody says I'm going to be a hater and all that, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that Eli Manning is the bad quarterback. But Eli Manning had a 500 record as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He threw a shit ton of interceptions, led the league a couple times.
He was crazy with the turnovers.
His team missed the playoffs almost a third of his career. And honestly, he's going to go into the Hall of Fame because he beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's why he's going into the Hall. Because if you take those 2 Hall of Fames out, would you be putting him in the Hall of Fame?
What, the 2 Super Bowls?
If you take those 2 Super Bowls out, would you be putting Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame?
They wouldn't be champions. We'd be talking about a potential drought for them. Dating back to, 1990?
I'm thankful Eli beat Tom Brady 2 times. I'm very thankful. I'm thankful for Nick Foles.
And he's the most important Giants quarterback, right? Like, he's the most important Giants quarterback in their history, but as far as overall...
But he was never going to be a first ballot, and I don't understand why no one understands that. Take your Giants blinders off.
You got to look at... We're talking numbers. You guys like to talk numbers. You got to look at his numbers. And,
If you take his 2 championships out,
2
he's
Super
not
Bowl
a
MVPs.
He's not a first ballot. I'd be surprised he gets in next year.
Still is on the final list. Torrey Holt, I think, should have finally went in. Adam Vinatieri. Adam Vinatieri is a good one. He should be in already. Yeah, Vinatieri should already be in.
Well, Vinatieri definitely should be in because he's one of the most accurate kickers besides, Norm, Gary Anderson. Like, Adam was amazing.
And Adam was also at the top of his class for a long period of time. Was Eli Manning ever the best quarterback in the league? He was.
When
the best
I
in
say
2
that,
Super Bowls.
I get shit tossed at me all the time.
When was Eli Manning the best quarterback in the league? What year? What year was it that you could look at Eli Manning and say, this is the number 1 quarterback in football? This 2011 year was good. He was getting that ball down the field. Putting up good numbers.
I would say he was a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Top 10's fair. But when was he ever the number? Like, Vinatieri was the kicker. When was Eli Manning ever the quarterback? It wasn't. It was. He won championships in the era of Brady versus Manning, the other Manning.
Like, I'm not saying he's. I just knew he wasn't a first ballot, whether anybody wanted to accept it or not. It's just the truth. I knew he was never going to be first ballot.
It doesn't diminish how special what he did was, the magnitude of what he did. It doesn't take that away, but that's a good moment for the fan base. That's a good moment for Giants history. You know what I mean? That's a selfish reason to put a guy in the Hall of Fame because of how much he contributed to their personal history. In the grand scheme of things, as we like to say, in the big picture, though, outside of those 2 years,
I'm never using that phrase again.
At what point in time was he the number one guy in the league? When was he in the MVP conversation?
You're right. I won't argue.
I'm just trying to figure out how we're measuring it at this point. If we're measuring it by the heartstrings, and people saying he should be in just because of the fact that he beat Brady twice, those same people try to use the logic of numbers and arguments to show why somebody should be in. Like, are we going to ignore his numbers and just put him in because of what he accomplished? He did.
Out of
and that's a credit to him.
18 years. What did he play? 16 years? He
was able to, because it's tough, man. His brother cast a massive shadow. Peyton Manning cast a big shadow. Eli was always, I guess, kind of like the Owen Hart. Peyton was Brett. And Eli went out there, and on the grandest stage 2 times, he did what nobody thought he was going to do. The second time they played the Patriots, I had a feeling that they were going to win. First time, that was definitely good television. Outside of that, like if we're talking about numbers and all this shit with these guys, we're ignoring numbers. The older wide receivers never getting in because the stats seem diminished compared to the new game with the wide receivers.
Dude, could you imagine if those guys played today?
It's a tough call, man.
Could you imagine today if Dan Marino was the quarterback in these rules?
It's a tough call, and it's why it's polarizing, and it's why
you can't put a guy in for one season. He's going to get in, Seth, but he wasn't going in first ballot.
It's a 2-hit wonder. the first and only ever 2-hit wonder, I guess you could say. Yeah, Peyton Manning's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but not Eli. They have the same amount of championships. Peyton was out there breaking records.
Eli Manning's record in the NFL,
oh boy,
is 117 and 117.
That's mid at its highest for. It's like the Atlanta Hawks, right down the middle.
Matt Ryan had a better record, 124-109. Phillip Rivers, 134-106. And Phil's not in the Hall of Fame. And if Down Fouts is in the Hall of Fame, Phillip Rivers should be in the Hall of Fame.
Phillip Rivers isn't first ballot either, though.
No, he's not.
Phillip Rivers ain't first ballot.
Dan Marino, 147-93. Elway, 148-82. Aaron Rodgers, 153-87. Ooh, this is near and dear to my heart. Ben Roethlisberger, 165-81. And one. The one tie. Breeze, 172-114. Big Brother, 186-79. Favre, 186-112.
Philip got nothing but kids.
And Tom Brady, 251-82.
Philip has a AFC Championship appearance against the same Patriots that you guys beat. They ended up losing to him. They gave him a good fight, gave him a good game. That was a very strong Chargers team that year, a forgotten football team that year because everything was about the Patriots' undefeated season up until the Super Bowl. Chargers definitely had a squad at that point in time, both sides of the football, and that was the closest that Phillip Rivers ever got to the big dance. And I don't know when he would ever get an opportunity to get in, but if they're going to continue to lower the bar to be able to get in, it's only going to be easier for those guys in those tiers to find themselves in the conversation when we're in a situation now where they don't have enough people to put in right now. They're trying to figure out themselves what are the parameters. Yeah. Hall of Fatherhood for most kids.
Antonio Cromartie. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Hill's on, what, 10? this point in time. Kyrie got 10 kids. Philip got 11 kids. Cromartie, I don't know how many Cromartie has.
There we go.
But that shit is wild. We got some NBA action going down here. Tracking some bets here. You've got the Pistons putting a beat down on the Celtics backups, 117-96 right now. The Portland Trailblazers up 106-101 on the Washington Wizards. Pacers up on the Raptors, 103-88. Sixers down 9 to the Knicks. Knicks up 90-81. Brooklyn Nets beating the Oklahoma City Thunder, 87-75 in the third quarter. Hawks over the Heat, 87-89. Bulls over the Clippers by 1, 60-59 at halftime. And the Kings and Jazz just going underway. So a lot of basketball, big slate, Supreme Baller Society implications going down with that. My matchup right now, I'm going up against Eric, who Eric had the misfortune of drafting Joel Embiid this year. The worst possible year that you could ever draft an Embiid, because he pulled the ultimate no-show this year.
Yeah.
And that's a first rounder right there that you don't have. It's like in my other league, I'm gearing up for the playoffs in that league, in the Yahoo basketball league that I have. But I lost Wemby. I don't have Wemby now, and without having my first round pick in Wemby,
that's why Mikey's not going to win no playoff game.
I'm not going to be able to compete with the firepower, you know.
Mikey ain't getting no playoff win.
What, 80?
Without Wemby?
Oh no! Oh yeah, no Wemby. Yeah. You're beating him right now.
Wow, look at that Undertaker with no damn tattoos, not a single tattoo.
Young Taker, bro, the GOAT. One of the greatest of all time. The greatest character of all time.
Who the hell's his opponent?
Doesn't matter. They're getting dropped on their skull.
Oh,
yeah! It's Coco Beware.
My Undertaker.
Chris, there's talks. The part of the reason why he didn't play tonight and why he might not play the following is potentially him not playing the rest of the year and longer than that.
Well, I already read that he's pretty much going to be shut down for the year.
We discussed
and that there's this operation that's really invasive where he can miss the entire year off.
Yeah, miss a year.
You know, Paul George came out stupid today talking about no more podcasts until after the season because I got to focus on my body and make a playoff push. Bro, the time to win games was 2 months ago. Yeah. I'm not trying to win shit from here on out.
You're not going to.
I'm trying to get a top 3 pick.
If anything, you have more time to focus on your podcast now because the Sixers got no hope. They got no chance in hell making
what I need. Oh, he's facing the Warriors.
You have all the time in the world to focus on your podcast simply because of the fact that the Philadelphia 76ers.
You got 2 guys who no sell.
Are in tank mode. Yeah, Taker versus Warrior. That's crazy.
2 no sell guys. See, look.
It's a great matchup, you know, but it's also tough to book because this is like who's taking the lead here, you know? 2 monsters, larger than life characters, you know.
It sounds like him and as he calls him, Jim, which was the Warriors' real name, were actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Everybody's cool, Undertaker, man. Everybody respects the dead man.
So, Paul George, shut your mouth. I wish you would sit out the rest of the year, too, so that I can ensure I get a high pick.
You want to talk about he's been a popular subject on this podcast for years. And at this point in time, at this point in your career, at this stage in your career, look at where you ended up. You're playing on this version of the 76ers and you still don't get it. You know, like sometimes if people open their mouth and it just shows the level of just ignorance and lack of self-awareness that some people have. To not be able to look outside themselves at the bigger picture and take a look around.
You're 100% right.
You work for a company that is in total shambles. Tickets are $5 to come see you guys play right now. You know, your main guy who you're playing off of. You're supposed to be his Scottie Pippen. Your MJ ain't there in the likes of Joel Embiid. The leader of this team is Maxey. Maxey's not going to be every single night giving you those all-star numbers because he's Maxey.
It's just been a terrible year because, if everybody was healthy from the rip, this team could have been a lot better. I'm not saying they're winning a title, but they would not be in this position right now.
Better than
because even the second-round rookie, Jarrett McCain, before he got hurt, was starting to come around. So you're seeing this kid, like...
He was a consistent scorer.
Yeah, you're seeing that, and you're just saying to yourself, damn, if George gets healthy and B can stay, if there's a 5-game slate a week and he plays 3, we got a shot. Nope.
I think we've reached a point in our lives where it's time
Who would have thought Tobias Harris and Paul George are the same guy?
Well, Tobias is playing better than Paul George right now.
Yeah.
He's thriving. He's actually scoring out there. He's putting up numbers.
I think it comes down to it's all this team's built around Joel Embiid, where the guy's not even healthy enough to play every week.
That's why I was about to say we got to stop asking ourselves the what if question of if he's healthy. We know he's not. He's not going to be healthy. He's never going to be healthy. He's not going to play. All right? You can't build around him. And at this point in time, we're pushing.
He reminds me of the dude from the Blazers that was like the number 1 pick.
Odom?
Yeah.
Greg Oden? The one that got picked before Durant.
Yeah.
Now 16 years later, look at Kevin Durant and then look at where Odom.
But it's not,
Greg Oden.
Me and you said on this podcast back in 2018 when Ben Simmons was a rookie. It was his second year in. Embiid was finally playing. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff round.
I wish I could go back and listen to that because I know you were all in on Ben Simmons and the Sixers at that point.
Because it looked like he was like all in. Everybody thought Ben was going to be something, and he never improved his game from it. Like,
yeah, never improved.
Yeah, like better. He gave you something where you were like,
never evolved.
He does evolve. We all thought he was going to evolve. We all thought he was going to be a professional. Nope. We all thought he was going to evolve, and he was going to get even better. Well, guess what? It never happened because all that quick success went to his head, and he felt as though he never needed to evolve.
Even the great season Maxey is having is the worst season since a rookie because of the work. Yeah, it's too much for him.
So, we said back in 2018, you probably had a good 4 years with Embiid before all these injuries caught up to you again eventually.
Yeah.
And guess what? 4 years later, it's happening.
And we brought up the conversation of potentially trading him early. And
maybe he should have been the one traded, and maybe they should have kept Ben and built around. But then Ben couldn't stay healthy either.
And at the time, back when Philly fans were willing to acknowledge the 76ers, I was told I was crazy for saying you should trade Joel Embiid. There's no way you trade that guy. That's a generational guy. That's a unicorn. That guy's this. That guy's that. That's the MVP. That's the guy that's going to bring Philly a championship. They're the closest team in Philly to a championship. We saw how that worked out. The Phillies ended up becoming what everybody thought the Sixers were going to be. And the Philadelphia Eagles just finished winning their second Super Bowl before any of the other guys figured out their heads from their asses.
The only two consistent teams in that city are the Phillies and the Eagles right now.
And everybody who believed in the Sixers took that same belief and said to themselves, hey, look, our baseball team's competing again. We got something. So they were quick to pivot. You pivoted off of the Philadelphia 76ers, and in that pivot, they were left with the stench of all their past failures, the poor draft picks. I gave you the warning on this podcast about bringing Daryl Morey into your organization. I told you guys this guy is going to just make things gradually worse. Nobody wanted to listen. Look at where the Sixers are now, getting ready for another tank job with that same guy at the helm making decisions for your organization.
Trust the process.
There's nothing to get excited about for a draft because you can't draft for shit. You always draft the person next to the superstar instead of the superstar themselves.
Well, no, last year the McCain pick was a good pick.
Yeah, season-ending injury. But you're bringing this kid into the fold, and he's supposed to, he's your leading scorer. He's the most consistent scorer on this basketball team. He's outplaying his position by a ton. What are these other guys doing that you're paying this money to? inflated salaries and nothing to show for it.
Oh well.
But
Phillies
losing
play.
seasons.
Phillies start next month, at the end of the month.
They could have had the entire Celtics core, and look at the success of the Boston Celtics.
Trust the process, part 4.
You know,
Yeah, well, let's see how the Knicks better win a championship.
It's 50 years of and you know what, Knicks and Sixers, you're both living in Boston's shadow, man. That's just the reality of the situation. Knicks haven't done shit in forever. Knicks ain't gonna be the first New York team to bring New York a championship. That ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be the New York Yankees. It ain't gonna be the Knicks. The Knicks.
Yo, did you see the Yankees were the 9th best odds to win the championship this year?
9th best, really? I saw our odds today. I looked at on DraftKings. Our odds are plus 800 for the 2025.
They were like the 9th
series.
from what I was reading. I got
interesting.
I should have found it was the Dodgers first, and the Phillies were second, which that caught me off guard. I was like,
Dodgers.
Wait, what?
Yeah, everybody's gonna.
And then the Braves were 4th.
I saw one where the Braves were 1. No, it was Dodgers, then Braves. I'm sorry. Dodgers, Braves. I think us. They had Baltimore pretty high up there, which that one was interesting when you think about.
I guess the loss of Soto really they think is going to take a step back for y'all.
We'll see. We shall see.
I hope it works out for New York because every time New York starts,
we shall see. I know that from what I've seen from spring training, I like what I've seen from Cody Bellinger out there. I like some of the. I like the hustle on defense, I should say, from what I'm seeing. So that's going to be a nice little wrinkle into a team that was kind of slow and sluggish last year with a lot of guys who just weren't putting in the effort to move. Cody Bellinger's going to move. Curious to see how we set up this lineup. I'm excited for Fried
to see the Phillies lineup. Now with this talk of Schwarber not being leadoff.
Well, today seeing him bat second, I was saying to myself, are they trying this stuff out now? Like just to see how it looks?
I heard they were thinking about putting Turner 1, Harper 2.
Then Schwarber?
No. Bohm 3rd and Schwarber at the cleanup spot.
What has Bohm done? What did Bohm do clean up last year for these guys? To now bump him up to 3? When you've got
I guess they feel like he'll be able to see more pitches because, they're not going to want to pitch to Schwarber. And that's crazy that you're moving Schwarber from 1 to 4th. But I'm all right with that because he's a home run hitter.
Yeah. A lot of those home runs he was hitting, there was nobody on base.
Yeah. So now if
he was just going up and hitting bombs.
You can get somebody on base, instead of it being a solo shot, it's a 2-run shot.
Yeah, we're talking more RBIs for sure.
And I don't think Harper's going to bat 270 again this year.
But here's the problem. Who's going to get on base?
Let's see.
Nobody was getting on base.
Listen, Mr. Dombrowski made it very clear. I'm paying you guys for a reason.
Yeah. And that was
that's why
was a cool thing to say.
Also hasn't given extensions out to Bohm, JT, Castellanos. Like, you guys haven't gotten shit from me because
you gotta
prove
go out
it
and compete.
Because if not, I'll save my checkbook for after the season and go after Vlad.
It's never been harder to win the National League.
I could see the Phillies not giving contract extensions to a couple of these people and going for Guerrero in the offseason next year.
I can see that. I can see Vlad going to the Phillies.
Because I know Toronto is going to trade him.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do it until July.
They don't want to lose it for nothing.
Yep, they're gonna do it in July, where they're gonna get a.
And they're at that point now. They know, like, we're not gonna compete. Like they're not. They're, the Red Sox have gotten better. Orioles are still a top team. Yankees are the Yankees. The Rays are floating around in peril, and the Toronto Blue Jays are floating around right along with them. So your most valuable asset, Vladimir Guerrero, man. Get what you can.
The Rays, the years you don't think they're gonna do nothing, they come out and they're freaking amazing.
Yeah, and then they get rid of all their good players. They sell them to the highest bidder.
They do their 3-year,
just like the Marlins.
3-year competition, and all right,
Marlins roster is like $30 million this year.
The X factor for the Phillies is Luzardo. I think Luzardo's a big X factor for him because if Luzardo does good, man,
is he healthy? That's the question.
That rotation, they got the potential in that rotation to have at least 3 guys with 20 wins.
In this book right here, there's a page that says the biggest injury concerns coming back from last year And Luzardo's right there next to Ronald Acuna for the Atlanta Braves. So with some of these guys, we already know with these ball players in baseball,
That's
it takes them
second
some time.
ACL.
Yeah. What version of Acuna is coming back to an Atlanta Braves team that is getting Strider back? And they saw what went down in the National League. Like, it's never been harder to win the National League than it is right now.
Right.
I'd go as far to say. You've got two powerhouse divisions just on that side, the National League East and the National League West. Out west, you've got the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks. In the East, you got the Braves, Phils, now the Mets. That's 6 teams already. There's only 7 spots in the playoffs, I think, right? 7 spots?
Yeah.
So that's already 6 teams off the rip that I'm expecting to – something's going to happen. I don't think all 3 NL East teams go in. So something's going to – unfortunately –
Braves and the Phillies.
Something's going to happen to the Mets. Or the Phillies. Or the Phillies. I don't know. We gotta see how it plays out. Or all 3 of them make it.
You have more faith in the Phillies than you do the Mets.
Or maybe it's the Diamondbacks. But I named 6 teams. I expect most of those teams to be the top of the National League playoff picture. So that's very little wiggle room for everybody else that is competing on that side.
Saw a scenario where Phil's trade Bohm and Casty for Devers.
Nice little 2-for-1 right there. Devers is another guy, though, coming back from injury. Like, what version of him now with Bregman in the fold? Like, what are you getting? You know, a Devers that's if he's not DHing, he's playing third, and he's already come out and said he ain't playing no other position. Like, that's what he's gonna do. That's what he gets paid to do. And you know, where does he fall in a Red Sox lineup that is going to be pretty good this year?
Gorilla Monsoon dressed like he was a mafioso all the time.
Yeah.
That's how you knew he was Italian.
Yeah. Dressed like he was connected. And you got
And you know what was weird about Gorilla? Gorilla sometimes would be heavy.
Yeah.
And then he would shrink. And then he'd be heavy again.
6'7". Moving that weight. Big man. Original enforcer.
And the late 80s, early 90s windbreaker outfits.
And these reports that are coming out from spring training are going to be crucial because they're going to influence the way that we draft going into the Sandlot Baseball Association. And you know, that draft happens on the 23rd. Opening day is on March 27th. Early on in the season, we have a showdown with the Dodgers in our second series of the year. We play Milwaukee Brewers first. And then after we play the Brewers at the end of the month in March, we got the Dodgers. And that's probably the only time we play them unless we both meet up in the World Series again. So an early opportunity for a little bit of vengeance up against the team that completely embarrassed us on the big stage. Chance for us to get back at them for that loss and show what the new Yankee lineup is potentially capable of. Heather already said she doesn't think the Yankees are going to the World Series. Oof. She also said she doesn't think the Phillies are going to the World Series. And I think we're at a point in time now where it's a question of who among us is ready to take on the Dodgers in a series and, you know, come out victorious and prevent them from potentially having the first back-to-back World Series in the MLB since I don't remember who did it last. It's been a while, though. It's definitely been a while.
That's the key, too, for the Phillies is Andrew Painter, who's been out for 2 years now. He had that Tommy John.
Who knows that?
He was their top prospect. Me personally, if he's ready and clear, I'd start him in the rotation. Not the rotation. I'd put him in the bullpen and see how he does a couple weeks as a setup guy. And if he's got his stuff, boy, oh boy, let me tell you, that man is going to be my closer. I'm going to treat him like the Braves did John Smoltz. When Smoltz had that rotator cuff,
yeah,
and Smoltz saved ball games for almost 3-4 years.
Yeah,
it was like a 4 or 5 year thing, and he had almost like 300 saves.
He was good at his job, for sure.
And he was so damn good that once they were like, "Oh, we need you back in the rotation." Okay.
Yep.
Went on to win another 20 games.
Yeah, because Philly's closer sure as hell isn't Estevez. When
He's
they got
gone.
From LA, he's not. It's not him. Hoffman's gone. Hoffman's in Toronto. You guys don't only have a bullpen.
Well, they had to clean it up too at the same time. So
did they though? Hey, I don't
we'll
think they
see.
did. I don't know if they actually cleaned up any. Dombrowski didn't change shit.
They still got Alvarado.
Your big move was getting Max Kepler.
Yeah,
that was the Phillies' big move.
I'm not mad at him though. Like, yo, I'm paying you people.
Decent,
perform.
Decent low budget move to add to the lineup. Probably see him batting at the lower half of the lineup and hopefully get some turnover there. The key is going to be how they figure out the top of that order. They got to figure something out because I don't like the sound of Bohm batting third, dropping Schwarber down to the 4-hole. He's going to end up leading off the inning anyway if the other guys don't get on base. Harper belongs third, and you figure the rest out. Maybe do Turner, Schwarber, Harper. See how that goes. But then Turner needs to hit. Turner, if you want to talk about guys getting paid to do their job, how much are you guys paying Trey Turner at this point? What's he done? What's he done for the Phillies since he's been there? It's been 2 years. What's so great about him?
That contract's brutal.
What is so amazing about Trey Turner?
You know, we talk about
when the season starts, he looks like just like every other guy out there, and his struggles just never end. Like they were giving him the standing ovations out in Philly just to try to get him to hit the ball. You know, when he hit a single, everybody stood up and clapped. It's like, that's what we're doing now for this guy? You know how much he gets paid, and you idiots are clapping for him? Like, what are we doing, bro? This guy's not Captain America. All that pressure of being Captain America has just turned him into just a normal ball player who gets paid a massive amount of money. And now you don't know what to do with him because you can't drop Trey Turner any lower than, what, second? Where are you going to put him? You're going to have him batting ninth? You can't. Makes no sense. Trey Turner's contract dictates that he's one of the first 3 batters in your lineup. So you just got to figure out a way to make it like, I don't know, just leave him at number 2 and leave Schwarber at 1. Why change it now, right? Shit, I'm on board with it. I asked the question myself. I was like, damn, why don't they drop Schwarber in the lineup? Why does he lead off? And then he hit a home run for me, and I'd be like, okay, I see what they're doing here. This works. Granted, it can work the same if he's at the lower half of that lineup, if he's batting cleanup, but the other guy's got to get on base first. Alec Boehm has to stop crying. Trey Turner has to do something. And Harper has to stop baking bread and lock in.
Chill.
You know, stop hacking. Stop hating on Turner. Hey, man, call it what you want. What has Trey Turner done for the Phillies? Nothing. You know, like, what have you done for me lately? That's what you should be asking yourself of this team, of this organization, of these players. You know, like, how long are you going to let the shit slide before you just start calling it what it is? Why are we even mixing around the top of the order? Because you're not getting enough production from the top of the order. It's the only reason why you're doing it. If everything's fine, you wouldn't change anything. Everything's good. There'd be nothing to figure out.
Kyle Schwarber should have never been leading off. I've said that for 2 years now.
They need a leadoff. They need a real leadoff guy.
So I'm all right with Turner
being supposed to be Turner, but you know, you talk about seeing pitches. That's a guy it's like he's like, you know, some of the swings are just like, are you even trying, bro? Like, you know you're gonna strike out, basically. That's how it looks sometimes. When he's in a rut, that shit is tough, man. Might be better off having Castellanos batting cleanup. Drop Bohm to 5th.
Well, last year he batted .291.
With Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Castellanos, Bohm.
He did miss some time.
Kyle should bat 5th. That's interesting. Batting in the 5th spot. What was that, the Pudge Rodriguez role? Batting in the 5-hole. That's interesting. That reshapes the entire top portion of that lineup. For good or worse. Better or worse, I should say.
Acuna.
I cannot wait to start betting on home runs again. It's a great summer, man. Nothing like seeing your guy hit a home run. Good times.
Let's see if breaking. Adam Schefter says 3 teams are in Matthew Stafford. The Giants, the Raiders, and oh my God, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Giants, Raiders, Steelers. Stafford sweepstakes. There you go. A little crumb of information that's coming out because of the conversations going down at the combine.
Does that mean they go after
Cooper?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you get the set? Maybe that's part of the negotiation tactics, part of the conversation. I'm going to try to bring you both over here. You're going to try to go get the stack and do a little bit of damage. How do you feel about it? Stafford to the Steelers. Trying to process it in your mind right now. It's realistic, man. It's a discussion that we had. We didn't get too deep into it. Marsh, Kepler, and Stott are your bottom three. Ugh. And Marsh don't play every day. You guys don't play Marsh like that, so it'll be somebody else. Sometimes Marsh. You're gonna have Kepler. You're gonna have Stott. You got Rojas. That's my buddy Mindy. That's her favorite. What's up? We invading Yankee Stadium when the Phils come to town this season. We're talking about it. The train drops you off right there. So we're talking about potentially making the trip for the one time we play the Phils this year. I got to check back to make sure that that's what it is. I think it's just one time. Marsh is starting in center field. You guys don't start him every day, though. Like, I know because of the fact that through fantasy baseball, he was on the waivers a lot. Like, he'd get picked up, he'd get dropped. Like, he was like an every other day type guy, depending on what you guys were doing with your lineup. You had a little bit of an outfielder rotation last season. Maybe he gets more time this year, but I don't know. Either way, Marsh is a pretty easy out for the most part, so he's not putting any fear in anybody's hearts. You know, if the top of the Phillies lineup ain't producing, then this is going to be a long day.
Look, it's the Red Rooster.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the only let's plan something. That'll be fun. You know, we invaded the Phillies, we invaded Citizens Bank for Yankees versus Phillies. We took over the stadium in Philly when we played. I got to go to 2 of the games out of that slate. Third game I watched from home out of the comfort. It was actually the third game was on podcast day. So it was an early start game. The hottest day of the 3, so I was not trying to be in that sun anyway. I went the other 2 days where it was night games and watched that game at home. Great energy for it. Nice, like, playoff type of feel, playoff atmosphere. The Yankee Stadium is going to be rocking for that one. I already know it. Hopefully it is, you know, in July when we meet up.
Trying to see.
Little boy Rojas. Don't tell that to Mindy. That's her guy, bro. As her guy. She got the Rojas shirt and everything. Marsh's ass against the lefty pitcher. Yeah, he was an easy out last year. I remember talking shit to Noli. I was just like, damn, why don't you start your boy? Why don't you give him a chance? And Noli loves the Phillies. Noli probably loves the Phillies as much as he loves the Dallas Cowboys. And he is not a Marsh guy. He knows that guy ain't it. He'll big up the Phillies.
Marsh is streaky. He'll start out really good, and then he'll just die bad.
Yeah. Well, you don't want that. You don't want easy outs. You don't want to, you're watching the ball game at home, and you've got the 7, 8, 9 hitters coming up on your side, and you're looking at who the 7, 8, 9s are, and you're just like, they're about to go back up to bat again because these guys can't do anything. These guys can't flip the lineup. Like, you want to be able to put a balanced lineup out there that can get your guys at the top more opportunities. You want the Aaron Judges and the Schwarbers of the world to get 5 at-bats a game. Get that extra opportunity to see a potential pitch. Get that extra opportunity to see a potential starter in the 6th or the 7th inning. Wait till they put JT in left. That ain't happening. JT took a beating last year. So
yeah, he did.
Good to see that he'll be healthy this year. You want to keep him as healthy as possible because I'm sorry, but Stubbs ain't the guy. He ain't no JT Realmuto even at this point in time. So, and JT's still a top 10 catcher in the league.
Has been going down.
I'm talking shit on the guy, but JT's still a top 10 catcher in the league. projected to be a top 10 catcher on here. So. Oh, look at this. This hurts right here. Look at this one. Look what I missed it by. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, that's so gross.
Cade Cunningham, 4 rebounds. I took the 5.5. Thank you, Cade Cunningham, for screwing me out of $193. Love you, buddy. This is the crunch time for some of the parlays of the early window of the NBA slate. Really needed you to come through. You did not. That's one parlay up in smoke, all because one guy just couldn't show up and do his job. Still love you, Cade. You're my guy. I'm going to need you for my Yahoo Fantasy League. And he didn't come through in his points and rebounds either. Cade really killed me today.
Stephen A. Smith trashes Moorbound Giants, calls East Rutherford a swamp Matthew Stafford should avoid.
Swamp.
Oh.
So, what is it? Stafford to the Giants, Steelers, and what was the other team?
The Raiders.
Raiders. Man. You guys are probably in the better position of all of them, right? And then especially if they add Cooper Kupp into the fold, if we're talking about like you want to compete next year. Raiders might compete next year. Giants aren't going to be competitive next year. Until we see like what they do at quarterback, but I guess his best shot is with you guys. I know it's not the sexy pick, but it's a pick that's going to trigger a lot of movement. It's going to trigger Sam Darnold. It's going to trigger potentially Justin Fields. And you already know Justin Fields out the window if you guys do this. Say goodbye. That's over.
Yeah.
That's over. Matt Stafford is your guy. That's going to be your guy.
The Rams' first goal is to have Matthew Stafford remain their starting quarterback. But the franchise is trying to balance short-term and long-term roster decisions by letting their QB gauge its value. Coach Sean McVay said on the Fitz and Wits podcast. The Rams have also given Jonah Williams, their guard, permission to seek a trade. John Lynch about his QB Brock Purdy. We have started negotiations. We're talking. I won't go into negotiations like always is our stance. I want Brock to be our quarterback as long as we're here and beyond, and we'll leave it at that.
We kind of knew that was coming with Brock Purdy. His job security at this point is in good standing. He ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's going to get paid. He's going to get the ridicule if he meets, he's short as far as the expectations go. 49er fans, I feel like, are ready to crown him the guy. They're ready to move on from contract talks. They're ready to go wherever he may lead them. So the fan base still has faith in Brock Purdy being their guy. He hasn't lost him yet. He's still a face in their eyes. What's up with, Brandon Ayuk? What's that going to look like, How's that going to fare for them?
That's another thing.
What are you guys thinking moving into, now, Ricky Pearsall, technically the number 2 guy, Jennings? That's your 3 right now. That's not a very strong wide receiver core at the moment. You're about to lose Debo. What are you going to lose him for? What are you going to gain in this Debo move? Is it going to be worth it for you, or are you going to make another football team better? Are you going to make the Buffalo Bills a better team than you are if you send them to Buffalo and you accept the minimum? When your wide receiver 1 already has a question mark over his head because it's just like, how good is Ayuk now? Look what happened after you get the tragic injury. You just got the bag. Everything with training camp and sitting out.
Is
and
Rick
not
in our
showing up.
league?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Where's he at?
Big Boppy-ish. That is Rick. Rick is in our league. He is in. He is one of the new members, along with Serge, along with Heather. 12-man league, baby. 2 divisions, 6 teams in each. Yeah, I saw that. We're getting it going, man. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for that. We're going to be talking more baseball as we approach the fantasy baseball draft. We're going to be having a little fun. Hopefully get a nice group photo that day. You know what I mean? And make a nice tradition for the best fantasy baseball league in the world today. And another surprise that I will have more information for the members of the group.
Noli wins a freaking championship and leaves.
Yeah. He wins it. He
you
left.
freaking dud.
He
Yo,
left,
no
I
one's
mean-
heard or seen from him.
No, I talked to him.
Oh, you have? Like,
Yeah, when I was doing
it's like when the Dallas Cowboys season just ended, it was like,
I think if the Phillies start out hot, he'll come back because he's still part of the group chat. It's still a baseball group chat. I didn't remove him from the group chat. So if the Phillies come out hot and they're winning games, he's going to come in. He's going to talk
big bro
his shit.
and little bro.
We're going to get the F the Yankees. It's going to be an interesting dynamic between big bro and little bro now that Drewski himself, he's held it down for so long. You know, the last Ronin, he's going up against everybody.
Last Ronin?
His Eagles have...
You're comparing him to Michelangelo, dog?
The Eagles have a Super Bowl, so Drew has a Super Bowl under his belt, so he might end up... Noli comes back into the fold, Drewski might be talking crazy.
He's got the Super Bowl, bro.
He's got the Eagles Super Bowl under his belt. He's got the fighting little Jimmies. He's got the Phillies now. He's completely pretended the Sixers don't exist. Faded him from memory. Noli checked out after Game 6 of the playoffs. Yeah. After the Mets eliminated the Phillies, Noli disappeared. When the Mets eliminated the Philadelphia Phillies in round 1, and the Lindor and Alonso, all that shit was happening, that was it. He just vanished like the villain does in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Once they was too much. It was too much to deal with, and he just disappeared. But I know him. I know he's a shit talker. This time of year, it's starting to stay lighter, longer. You're going outside. It's not as cold. We're approaching baseball season, baseball weather, the baseball vibe. He's a baseball guy, and it's only a matter of time before he just starts talking shit again, even if he's not in the league. But man, I'm super excited for it, man. I cannot wait. You know, got another good podcast in the books tonight. Mets and Thanos snapped their fingers at the same time. Oh, those Mets. I mean, they're going to be one of the biggest stories of the year is the Mets, what they did. The mighty Mets, the move that they made for Juan Soto and how it's going to impact them moving forward. What they're going to look like this year, what they're going to look like moving forward, who they keep, who they don't, how they measure up to the competition within their own division, how they're going to measure up against the LA Dodgers because they'll have to deal with them way more than we will. They'll have to deal with the Dodgers before we do, you know, if it comes down to the playoffs. Same for you. Like the National League has never been harder to win. Competition on that side is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. And you know, Soto's going to produce. He's going to hit for you guys. So I know that Sean Manaea is currently not pitching. That's one of the big arms for the Mets. Manaea hasn't been pitching. He's dealing with an injury right now. There's going to be more info when it comes to that. So if your pitching isn't situated and you're getting into a lot of these shootouts with other teams that can hit also, I'll be surprised if the Mets end up being a middle of the pack team. You know, people hate to hear it right now because of all the hoopla around them, but that some of the things that happen during spring training and some of the storylines that and things that you see, it's more than just smoke and mirrors. Some things are constant. Like we said with the Chiefs this year, they're not good enough to win a bowl. They clearly weren't good enough to win the bowl. It took a while to see it, but when you actually, you know, the conversation was already planted for that. No Manaea, no Montes. That was the other guy. Yeah, that their starting pitching rotation is where it could get a little murky. And you already know if your starters can't go 5 innings at least, the game's already lost. If it's the second inning and you're down 8-1, that shit's over. Pack it up. Everybody stop trying. You know? So it's going to be interesting to see, man, what gets locked up, what goes down, how it impacts our draft. I'll be talking more about that league. I'll be talking more about Supreme Ballers Society as we approach the playoffs. When the brackets are finalized for Supreme Ballers Society, I'll post a picture of the brackets the forum, on the Money Sports forum. I'll be posting the brackets, the road to, what is this, our 4th year of it? 4th year of the Supreme Ballers Society. You know, last year's champion, Terrell, currently in the mix, looking to repeat. Oh, yeah, last year was the tie. That's right. You guys were co-champions. I'm sorry. I forgot that happened. Time flies, bro. A lot happened, dude.
I never lost.
Forgive me. We had a tie in the league, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this year. The first undisputed Supreme Ballers champion in 2 years will hopefully be crowned in a month and a half.
There we go.
You know, so it's funny the Supreme Ballers playoffs and the Sandlot baseball season will be happening at the same time. You know, set those lineups if you're a part of those leagues. You know, more free agency news to follow in the coming weeks. You just heard the
Grimes
rumor
only
mill.
gave him 8 points.
Matthew Stafford, Steelers, Giants, Raiders. 2 of those teams, and the Giants and the Raiders that we're talking about as far as the top of the draft, them moving up, them trading back. They're also tied to the rookie quarterbacks. We now know that they're officially tied to Matthew Stafford. How's that going to impact their draft night if one of them are the ones to win the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes? What does that mean for Sam Darnold and the phone calls that the Vikings get for Sam Darnold? What does that mean for the Justin Fields of the world and all the other guys that could potentially get signed? Hell, Ryan Tannehill. Does he come back? Does he come back into the fold somehow, some way? Is he football ready? We'll see, man. I think that pretty much wraps up tonight's pod.
I wonder what the deal is with Zach Moss.
Probably hurt. They're moving on. They came out at the combine. You know, they doubled down on Chase Brown. Talked about they got more out of him than they expected and they bargained for. They love what they got out of Chase Brown. They love what he's done for them as far as the offense and what he does, how he moves the ball. Doesn't necessarily rule out that they draft a running back, but when we talk about the Bengals and their needs, defensive side of the football is hurting. So there's some great defensive players that they can go out there and get. I could see the Bengals going cornerback in the first round, maybe shoring up that secondary, maybe looking at the trenches. Who knows?
We'll see. We'll be back next week, guys. The combine will be over.
A lot of tea leaves that we're still
Or the
trying
combine,
to follow.
yeah, the combine should be over.
Yeah, it'll be a wrap.
By tomorrow, franchise tags got to be placed on their on the specific player. If not, they're not tagged, and they're going to be able to walk. And we're only about 10 days, 10, 15 days away from free agency to see what those cap dollars get spent on.
Yep.
And we'll keep you posted. Hell, maybe I'll make a wish list for certain teams.
It'll be like fast when it starts happening. Like shit's just gonna.
I think that's what we should do. A week before free agency starts, do a little wish list for certain teams and what they should go get.
Good. You know.
Until then, we'll see you guys next week. Stay safe. Enjoy some preseason baseball and try to enjoy the NBA. You know, it was so bad ESPN had to cut baseball to make up the money they're losing from basketball. But that's a topic for another day. See you guys.